immediately senses something is off. Later that night, Jin is digging into his computer, trying to uncover all he can about SW Corporation, which Yeona's family owns. He's curious why Yeona seems so interested in him, and why they're running a background check on a random transfer student like him. Jin reflects on his conversation with Seokju when suddenly he hears a call from his grandfather. When he steps into the living room, his grandpa mentions he's heading out for a bit too. Our boy asks if he's going after Daeon, and the old man kinda agrees. He adds that he just needs some fresh air. Jin smiles and tells his grandpa to stay put, and he'll go check on her instead. But the old man insists on going out by himself. Jin then reminds him about the early job he has in the morning. And finally, our boy decides to head out on his own. Later, we see both girls chatting away about their studies and other topics. Yeona shares her experiences studying abroad and suggests that Daeon consider studying outside as well. In response, Daeon admits she never really thought about it before. When Yeona asks why, Daeon explains that it costs a lot, and she'd need to be away for several years, which means she wouldn't get to be with her grandpa for a while. Yeona finds this a bit strange, so Daeon further elaborates, explaining that she doesn't want her grandpa to be alone, especially since he's not in the best of health these days. However, she's grateful that her brother is always around, as his presence really helps her feel better. Meanwhile, Yeona's having a hard time bringing up the real reason she came over, since Daeon seems to really trust her brother. She's not sure how to bring it up without causing problems. We then flash back a bit, where Seokju tells Yeona that someone from the supposed overseas school confirmed that Daeon's brother never attended there. They even looked at his photo and verified he was never a student. Plus, the current resident at his false address gave solid proof that he never lived there. Seokju's also checking out some other leads, so Yeona decides she needs to meet with Daeon to discuss what they've found. But Seokju reminds her that while they have proof the records were forged, they can't yet prove that he isn't Daeon's real brother. Yeona's concerned because the records from the decade he was missing are basically fake. Since she's now living with him, it's a big deal that can't be ignored. She thinks Daeon deserves to know the truth about the records and wants to at least fill her in on what they've found so far. In the present, Yeona is struggling to bring up the main topic she came here to discuss, even though it's her primary reason for visiting. Just as Daeon expresses how happy she is to be chatting like this after a long time, we also see our boy making his way toward the both of the girls. However, Seokju steps in front of him, but Jin simply tries to walk past him, but the newcomer quickly tells him to stay put. In Seokju's mind, he's sure Jin must be here because he's worried they're going to share everything with Daeon. So he quickly blocks our boy's path and tells him that the both girls are just catching up and asks him to give them some time alone. Suddenly, a high-speed Volkswagen comes barreling toward them. Before anyone can react, the car slams into both of the boys, knocking them down like bowling pins. They hit the ground, as the Volkswagen screeches to a halt right where the two girls are sitting. Jin tries to stand up, but it's clear he's severely injured, especially around his head. As he struggles to focus, his groggy eyes catch sight of some shady people from the van trying to abduct both of the girls. Without wasting a second, Jin starts sprinting like a madman. But his efforts are in vain. The kidnappers have already taken the girls, and there's no way he can outrun a car, so they're left behind, helpless. The both of them quickly look at each other and, in their anger, grab each other by the collars. But after exchanging a few heated words, they realize neither of them is behind the abduction, so they let go. The black-haired guy immediately pulls out his phone and calls the security team at SW Corporation, urgently reporting that Yeona has been kidnapped. He tells them to track her down using the security footage. Meanwhile, Jin starts walking off, and the black-haired guy quickly asks him where he's going and if he's actually not behind all this. Jin simply replies that he doesn't have time to argue with anyone. Seokju points out that SW Corporation security is already on it and will find the girl soon. Until then, Jin will need to stick with him so they can confirm his identity. But our boy makes it clear that he's going to find his sister, and if Seokju wants to follow him, he can gladly do so. Seokju starts to get the sense that Jin might not be involved after all. But then our boy suddenly stops and humorously asks Seokju if he brought his car with him. The scene shifts to the bustling heart of the city's entertainment district. Inside one of the pubs, Mr. Cha is sitting back, puffing on a cigarette and enjoying his laid-back time. Just then, his lackey informs him that someone is here to see him. When Mr. Cha turns around, he sees Jin standing there.